First and 9.
For the past few years, a college football legend has been roaming the sidelines on the hill. As a player, Willie, the satellite Totten, was a genius at the quarterback position during his days at Mississippi Valley State. But in order to understand how great Willie Totten was, you have to go back 30-plus years and hop on the Satellite Express. In the 1980s, the Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils football team was trying to find a way to make a splash, not only in the Southwestern Athletic Conference, but also on the national scene. So then Valley head coach Archie Cooley, a.k.a. the Gunslinger, came up with the perfect idea for an unstoppable offense, one that he drew up in the dirt.
I said, all right, if I put 4 on this side and stack them, 1 on this side, no back, how will you handle that?
Cooley envisioned a no-huddle offense with 5 wide receivers and no backs, something that's common in today's game of college football, but wasn't even thought of in the 1980s. The Gunslinger knew he had the athletes at wide receiver to run the routes, but he needed a quarterback to conduct the offense. So he turned to an athlete who had signed with the Delta Devils as a punter, Willie Totten.
I was averaging 45 yards a punt, and really that's how I got to Mississippi Valley.
And I said to myself, he got the potential, because I shook his hand, he swallowed my hand. And I said, this boy got some big hands. He ought to be able to throw that football.
So Coach Cooley gave Willie Totten and his big hands a shot at playing quarterback. Totten and his guys worked with the offense during camp, but honestly never thought it would be used in the game, primarily because of the way they thought of their coach.
And actually at the time, we thought he was crazy because we never heard of anything like that. So we tried it, and it worked the first couple of times that we ran the play. And
that's how I started, little by little, piece by piece, and it all started from there.
And thus, the Satellite Express was born. Totten and his crew put up video game-like numbers during the 1984 season. In 3 of the first 4 games, the Delta Devils scored 86, 77, and 63, mostly because teams had a hard time matching up.
That was the first time they have seen that. We didn't have any film on that.
The Gunslinger's offense created mismatches all over the field, especially when they put 4 wide receivers on one side and a single wide out at the bottom. That single receiver at the bottom was a guy that was all world. But you may know him as
Jerry the World Rice. Because they felt like I could catch anything in the world, so it was really nice.
Once we connected, and I think it just kind of started snowballing from there.
Mississippi Valley's exposure was growing slightly, but on October the 13th, 1984, knowledge of the Delta Devils and the Satellite Express will be taken to new heights. On that evening, Totten led his squad into action against Grambling State and their legendary head coach, Eddie Robinson, in the inaugural Circle City Classic in Indianapolis.
When we stepped on that field, we didn't look at Grambling as being Grambling State University. We looked at they were the next opponent.
Totten eclipsed the 500-yard mark again while tossing 4 touchdowns in a 48-36 victory over the G-Men. His favorite target that night was none other than Jerry Rice. He caught 2 of those touchdown passes.
That's when we really started getting the attention, the national attention from people around the country saying that evidently they got something that is special there. So let's go look at what they're doing.
People from all over the world was coming to see this in action.
And by the time he left Mississippi Valley, Willie Totten had set 50 Division I AA passing records, and some of them still stand today.
Those guys did at Mississippi Valley was innovative enough that it is now changing college football today.
Totten got his first taste of pro ball in the CFL, which was an experience. But after a few years, he finally made his way back to the U.S. and got a shot in the NFL with the Buffalo Bills. However, things did not go as planned.
It seemed like everywhere I end up in the pros, I played in cold weather, and that was real tough.
So the Satellite was at a crossroads and decided to transform himself into Coach Willie Totten.
I really didn't know what I wanted to do at the time, but going back, working on my master's gave me an opportunity to kind of find myself.
During the 1990s, Willie Totten built up his coaching resume, and by the end of the decade, Mississippi Valley State decided to honor the Satellite and his teammate Jerry Rice. They renamed Magnolia Stadium to Rice-Totten Stadium in the spring of 1999.
And I can speak for Jerry as well. That was a great honor for us.
Soon after that, Mississippi Valley State would turn to their greatest quarterback of all time and ask him to bring some pride back to the football program by naming him the head coach in 2002. Totten hopped on a recruiting trail and brought in guys like Dietrich Smart, a defensive lineman who was too young to watch him as a football player, but never stopped hearing family members talk about the legendary Willie Totten.
It was hard for family members to not spread the word of the legend throughout the town, and I played football in early 2000s, and to this day you still hear of the stories of the local legend.
Coach Totten did bring pride back to Mississippi Valley State as he led the Delta Devils to back-to-back winning seasons in 05 and 06.
We bought into the system, and he actually brought in a great recruiting class those 4 years, and we were able to turn around the program.
After a stint at Mississippi Valley, Coach Totten took some time away from the game, but it wasn't long before Coach James Spady and the Alabama A&M Bulldogs requested his services.
I identified Willie as a potential candidate to be on our staff. Is his experience in the SWAC. He's a former head coach in the SWAC. You can't run into somebody who doesn't know who Satellite Totten is, and especially if you're in the state of Mississippi.
Today, Coach Totten continues to mentor young men and mold young minds at both the quarterback and running back positions on the Hill. The amazing thing is how most of these guys, like Akil Glass, have no idea who Willie Totten was as a player.
We just know him as Coach Totten, but if you really think about it, he's a very pivotal person in HBCU sports and if not all of college football.
I always say, and we do it in a joking way, just go Google me. And guys get a kick out of that when I say that.
It was pretty interesting. It was pretty funny seeing Coach out there with the middle part on his head.
Now, Willie Totten does not have any plans to retire anytime soon, but when he does, he said he'll feel great because of the legacy that he's left behind, both as a player and as a coach. A lot of folks helped with this project. I want to just say thank you for allowing me to share the story of Willie the Satellite Totten. We'll have more sports coming your way after the break.